even to this day, some of those songs, a lot of those songs stood the test of time. Like people still talk about it. Literally this morning, someone told me about a song from Grown Man. They said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go listen to that right now." I said, "Oh yeah, can you put it on TikTok?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll get on that." But I was like, wow, imagine if the way my current project is mixed, if I apply that to my old stuff, just as a testament to like how much I've learned from then and now. So now that I have these lessons learned, it's all about applying them. You know, like if you think about like a video game, like you get to a new level, you know, like most of the trap doors where they're going to be, but there are going to be some new ones, but you at least know the ones that you've already experienced. So you can avoid like mistakes, or you can intentionally break rules and stuff artistically. From the thrift store. I buy most of my shoes from the thrift store because I don't really, it's very rare that I spend money on shoes, but I try to find a good pair secondhand. These I kind of got lucky. Actually, since you buy them from the thrift stores I go to, if they don't have a price, they're not supposed to sell it to you. And this, like, the tag and like falling off. And I was like, man, if I leave these, they're not going to be there. So, yeah, this on camera. This is a confession. There was like a loose tag. There's always like loose tags on the floor. And in this case, for the shoes, there's stickers. So there's a loose sticker on the floor. I was like, all right, let me find the cheapest one. Because I know if they like price them themselves, like that, they're going to try to make, these are Air Force Ones. I looked at them, I think they're authentic. I've never seen, like, they're like a specialty Air Force One. I've never seen these. But I said, I know they price. They're going to try to charge me way more than I'm trying to walk out with. I look on the floor. I think I found it for like a ticket for like $7 there. That self-checkout. So I was like, all right. Whoop, whoop. Got my shoes. And these are pretty nice. I wear these often enough, not every day, but they're in the rotation. Pretty comfortable, you know, nice. Everybody likes a nice Air Force One. Not the classic all white, but these like I don't know, they look like some type of special release. I'm not a sneakerhead, so I don't really know which ones. But they're pretty versatile. I got the iridescent side panel. Got some nubuck leather, and I don't know if these side panels, whatever these are, the soles are, I know they come kind of like dusty brown, or were they white before? I imagine there was some version of like off-white, because it kind of just goes with it. Again, I bought these secondhand, so I don't know what they look like in fresh condition, but I kind of like the character of it. They're not super kilt, but they're not super fresh either.
For the sneaker, if you can, try to hold it over the middle of the table.
Okay.
Because when you go to the side, that goes outside the screen.
Gotcha.
What do you expect from your everyday sneaker?
So, because of the way I buy my everyday sneaker, like I said, most of my shoes I buy secondhand. I really don't know what to expect. Like, I try to find them in the best quality. I just pretty much hope for the best. Hope like my soul doesn't break on me during the day. I try them on, so one thing I expect is comfort. Comfort is a big part of me. I mean, a big part of my everyday clothing, period. Like, I try to be like stylish, but definitely comfortable, because I like to live in my clothes rather than just try to commit to the aesthetic and be uncomfortable. So I feel like if I'm comfortable while expressing myself, then I'll be able to do it with more ease rather than trying to keep a straight face and hide pain.
Have you hid pain before?
Say it again?
Have you hid pain before?
Yes. And this is why, from doing that, I've learned my lesson that that's not the quality of life I want. I want to be able to walk around and look good, but also feel good.
This isn't my first time hearing you talk about the quality of life. Why is your quality of life important to you?
I spent a lot of time being uncomfortable, and it caused me to ask questions of why I'm feeling uncomfortable and what can I do to change it. And when I start asking what can I do to change it, I started to question what things that I were uncomfortable with were in my control. Once I started asking that question, it helped me to like be more intentional about controlling the things I can control about my comfort. And like I said, the way I exist in the world in everyday life. And how am I experiencing life, and how would I like to experience life, and what is the distance between where I am and where I want to be. And after you ask yourself that, you start to think about like, okay, proximity. You start to think about, okay, so how do I get from point A to point B, and what vehicle am I going to take, what avenue I'm going to take to go from having hurt feet to having comfortable feet. That's a metaphor.
As an artist, how much of yourself do you pour into the music?
As an artist, how much of myself do I pour into the music? Different percentages of different parts of myself, I'll say my blood, sweat, and my energy, my just human energy, my matter, my brain matter, my daily expenditure. I spend most of my time creating music or trying to curate the music I've already created. When I say curate, I mean like how to present it to the world and get people to hear it and how I want them to experience it. So most of my time is spent thinking about those things. Self-employed, music is, my main thing right now. Even like my side gigs are like musical side gigs that like just pay bills and stuff like that. So I'm thinking of a lot of those times is just like doing covers. I'm thinking of ways to put my personality in there so it's not like I'm just mimicking whatever artist whose song I'm singing. I'm trying to always cultivate an experience for whoever's listening to what I'm doing.
You could just put the other one on the floor.
Oh, okay. And that's that side of things. Now when it comes to like my personality and the spirit of Cheikaity, like how much of this person can I feel? If you listen to one of my songs, how much of my personality do you hear? I'm being more intentional with that now. And that just comes from actually pulling from like real life experiences, like real conversations that I've had, like real situations that I've been in, and try to make art based on those things. So I believe like a lot of us have similar experiences, similar human experiences. And if you talk about your experiences, if you talk about something you've really been through, you have a better chance of relating to someone, because like we all go through like really similar things. To have basic human needs, and it's all of us in a way is just like trying to be as comfortable as possible while living life. Like after survival, you try to like make it feel good. So I feel like if I talk about those things and be as candid as possible, somebody would hear it's like, man, I can see myself in that scenario. If I close my eyes, he's like narrating my life. So I'm doing that more now. I haven't always done that. Sometimes I've like created like a fantasy, and it's not necessarily coming from a Cheikaity place. It's just coming from a place of my imagination, which is another form of that. I guess that's like the third layer. So I guess the ultimate answer to your question is like the percentages and the amounts of myself vary from like compartment to compartment.
What's the importance of taking time off both between albums?
So like I've always heard the term like burnout, and I've seen like some of my favorite artists and experienced literally waiting for their next project. Like that. And it's like, wow, like when are you gonna drop new music? When are you gonna drop new music? And being in real time, like trying to, even if you say to yourself, all right, I'm not going to try to recreate my best work. I'm not going to try to remake this. I'm going to make something new. Even that intention alone, like it takes so much to follow through with and be consistent with, especially if you're like a perfectionist. And you'll start something and, oh, it won't be good enough. You hear something that inspires you, it won't be good enough. Or whatever reason, you'll start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. And a lot of that is like a result or a byproduct of you just overworking yourself or trying to put too much on your mind or your body, even on your team. Like it's important to just like rest. If you look at it like agriculture, like when farmers, when they have a big harvest, and they're planting, like they take like a season, or sometimes they take like a couple months. I mean, a couple months is a season, but sometimes they take a little longer than like a season, but like just to rest the ground, because it's doing a lot. It's like it's generating, you're planting, you're harvesting, you're generating plants and new life into this soil, and it's doing a lot of work. A lot of action is happening in this area. So like to preserve it and to get the best out of it, you want to rest it. Like even like, I mean, across like themes, across different religions and stuff like that. And the Abrahamic religions like the Christianity, Judaism, Islam, they have like the book of Genesis where they talk about God creating the world. And I said, yeah, he did all this, he made the whole world, but he rested. And I was like, wow, I guess that's just setting the precedent. Not that he necessarily needed to, you know, if somebody's all powerful, whoever, you know, subscribes to that school of thought, so the message in that is like, yo, if I can rest, you can rest. Whenever you're creating something or doing something big that's like monumental, it's so easy to go like, all right, what's next? What's next? What's next? And I have a big part of that in my personality, like on to the next one, always trying to outdo what I just did. But sometimes it's good to sit back and rest. And sometimes it could just be just appreciate what you made and enjoy it in its fullness. And in that time of rest, you know, you gain more experience. Like I just said, is, you know, now I'm starting to put life experiences into my music, into my art. You gotta give yourself time to live and, you know, replenish those experiences when you're not just in work mode.
Looking back at projects like Grown Man and a Super Groovy mixtape, what chapter of your artistry would you say you're opening the door for now?
I am opening the door right now to intentional mastery.
Okay.
Very much like, I think the beginning of that quest was like Grown Man, when I spent like years in other bands and, you know, just musical ventures, just learning the ropes, learning how to make songs, learning how to connect with people, learning how to gain fans, perform. Ultra intentional about it, making Grown Man, but still very novice in it in a way that I went about it. Just the product of being new to something. And but I made something really good. And I was talking to like a friend of mine. He actually produces with me and does like my live shows with me. Just about like how far we've come from just as far as knowledge of making music and knowledge of sound and like how to present it, how to record correctly and properly, And then we was talking, I was like, wow, if we took what we knew now and applied it to, like the old work, like what would that sound like? What would that feel like? Because like, even to this day, some of those songs, a lot of those songs stood the test of time. Like people still talk about it. Literally this morning, someone told me about a song from Groom, and they said, oh yeah, I'm gonna go listen to that right now. I said, oh yeah, can we put it on TikTok? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll get on that. But I was like, wow, imagine if the way my current project is mixed, if I apply that to my old stuff, just as a testament to like how much I've learned from then and now. So now that I have these lessons learned, it's all about applying them. You know, like if you think about like a video game, like you get to a new level, you know, like most of the trap doors where they're going to be, but they're going to be some new ones, but you at least know the ones that you've already experienced. So you can avoid like mistakes, or you can intentionally break rules and stuff artistically, but you just have that much more control. That's why I say intentional mastery. Like, all right, now that I know how to make songs, let me start to like be more clever with it and be more intentional in spots, and let's see what happens after that.
When it comes to bigger productions and working with such a great team like you have up to this point, how do you maintain your sanity? You can flip the sneakers over and just do the bottoms now.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's actually a good question. It's I find little, very small, because I don't always have time to do something grandiose. I don't always have time or the capital for like a big vacation. Working on that. But I find little ways of escape and little ways of sanctuary. And it's a place where I have like peace and autonomy over the circumstances. So one very tiny example I'll use is I started to take, either I would get in the car and just sit in a parking lot in silence or listen to music. There was something about the car, just like the enclosed space. Oftentimes at night, so I get to look at like the skyline. If it's a starry night, if it's raining, it's just like that almost like the ASMR type thing, or just like the gentleness of it. It's calming, very peaceful place for me. It's in the side of a car. I can control like the climate, I can control the air conditioning, I can put my seat back. I can listen to music if I choose to, if I choose not to. And it's something about that environment that like, it seems like my thoughts kind of get to slow down, and I get to process and just think clearly. If I'm not just parked, other times I would go for a drive, windows down, after rush hour, which is pretty much just me on the road, or, you know, me and a few other people, but it's usually really late at night. Well after like 11 or in those hours, 11 up until like 3. I'm just driving around. Sometimes I make a playlist of just like songs that complement those moods, and that's actually what inspired my latest project. Is like that whole feeling. I called it For a Drive, and it's pretty much just explaining those feelings, like in kind of like a story form, loose story, but it's really just capturing that feeling of just being in a car, zoning out, listening to music. The songs were crafted that way. Yeah, that's a small way that I keep my sanity. Yeah, that's one. I'll use that as the example. That's one way that I know that was really effective.
Are there other places that you find peace?
I'm looking for them. Always looking for them. Places.
Um, Street tea. You go.
There's not a long list, honestly. The studio at times when I'm just freely creating, the studio can be that way. My home studio, it's in a sunroom, and I love it in there when it was like really early in the morning, the sun's just rising, or just getting like the high noon natural light peeking through. There's something refreshing about that, or like on a rainy day, it's like a glass enclosed in nature, and that's a very peaceful place. Other than that, if I'm just like in the good company of somebody, either like could be a woman I'm talking to, it could be just like a good friend, and we're just like chilling, having a really good conversation, and just catching the vibe. It's peaceful for me. It's not, I don't have an extreme long list. I have like a lot of chaotic spaces.
Speaking of friend, let's talk about love.
Okay.
I love the visuals for Parking Lot that's coming out soon.
Okay. Thank you.
How has it been to paint a picture of what love looks like for you out of a carryout?
Oh, okay. So that one was Passenger Princess.
Okay.
But that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. And I'll say, because since working with Jada, doing our visuals and everything, like since probably 2019 we first met, both of us were like in a space where we were like watching film and television and just like watching like a black renaissance on television take place. It happens every couple of years, but I think we're definitely in another one. And definitely during that time, you know, Insecure was fresh on TV. I think Donald Glover was getting more into like his movie space, starting to like direct things. Jordan Peele, and it just seemed like things were coming out. Movies like Black Panther, Queen and Slim, things like that, and we just seen like just really captivating visuals featuring black skin and black people and black culture, and it's like, wow, this, back to that relatability thing, like this feels like very relatable, but because it feels relatable, but it also is like aesthetically pleasing, so it allows you to kind of put yourself in that place, in that world, that you want to kind of recreate that world in your everyday life, at least parts of it, at least the feeling of it. So with this particular one, I wanted to kind of romanticize and just throw into the lens, into the arena of cinema, just like the DMV love experience, or what they call it, boo loving, or whatever, you know, just being with you and your significant other, your Lil Yeah, as your as we would say, you know, with your whoever, your special person. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I want this to feel like home. Talking with Jada, we just bounced off. I wanted to feel like home, but also feel like Hollywood. So how can we bring Hollywood to our like neck of the woods and make it feel like some hood fabulous stuff, but like just real elegant and just bougie, but also just like, oh wow, they, you know, they're shutting down their neck of the woods. Like I seen when ASAP Rocky and Rihanna got together, like you would catch them around like Harlem or something like that. And it's not like a glamorous place, it's just around the way, but like they brought the glamour to it. They brought like the swag and the edge to it. I was like, wow, can we do that for here? I haven't really seen that. What does that look like in PG County? And so, yeah, I said, what if we just like went and shut the carryout down? Just like Fashion Week and the carryout and just everybody. And sure enough, like we went in there and the people working, they're just, who are these guys? The guy coming there like 10 chains on. You got Alex looking like, you know, a superstar that she is. And they don't know who we are, but we look and feel like importance. And I was like, I love that. It's like, you know, okay, something important's happening. And then you see Jada coming through the camera, and one or two things could have happened. It could have been like, it's one of those things where they either just go with it because they just want to see how far this goes and what's happening, or they're like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, we can't do that in here. You guys, you know, getting permission. We just walked in there, camera rolling. And so when I go in there, I said, oh, yeah, we're actually going to order. Don't worry. But they were chilling. They loved it. And then, like, you have the customers coming in there, and then, oh, you guys look great. Oh, you're killing it. Oh, you look good. Most of them, you know, complimented Alex and everything. But everyone's just staring, just like, what is going on here? Like, who are these people?
So that was an authentic moment.
Very real, raw, authentic moment. And one thing I really loved about it is in the past where I would have like love interest in visuals or some type of leading lady type situation, it wasn't always, you see like amateur videos and, you know, you use like a friend or your homegirl of yours or just somebody you know, you know, because your budget or whatever the reason is, it's not always like the level of familiarity or like comfortability where you can like really give off, or what's the word I'm looking for? I'll say give off, whatever. Intimacy on screen, but it doesn't always translate on screen what you're trying to envision. Oh, that's supposed to be his girlfriend. But like to the point where we released this and people was like, wait, are you guys like, is this a soft line? Are you guys actually together? Like, because we actually had really good chemistry on camera. And then because of that, we were looking at it, I had the idea, I was like, what if we just push the envelope? What if we like kind of made like a little scene? So that was my idea, how cat's out the bag. I was like, what if we like fake launch like a fake like relationship situation and get like these paparazzi pictures taken and send it to like blogs. Mm-hmm. And like the 2 week, like through the weekend before we drop the video, we'll drop like, oh, Cheakaity Alex, what's going on? So did that, of course, that worked. So my DM, really Jada's DMs are going crazy. Like all the heartbreak, people was like, oh, like I was waiting for my chance when she's gone type thing. And I was it's like, and we're just talking about it, just lay low, don't confirm, don't deny, just like lay low. And so then we dropped the Jada's pictures, and then everybody's like, are they, my DMs are going crazy. I was like, wait, are they, what, huh? Mm-hmm. But again, that's just a testament to like how well we really just like pulled it off.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like, I don't know if, I mean, Alex has been in a couple of videos, but we've definitely never done anything like that before. She's a good friend of mine. Like, we've never actually dated or anything like that. It was just, you know, it was vibes. It just works. And I was like, all right, sometimes you get lucky like that and you, yeah, you just, it's just magic. Camera, cinema, art, magic. Felt great. I felt like we made like a little mini classic. Kind of wish it was longer, but, you know, in this day and age and like the easily consumable media, we wanted to give like a bite-sized piece of like a classic. I guess make a classic 60 seconds.
As an artist, do you think it's important to not give too much?
Yes. I think as a person, it's important to not give too much. I think giving too much of anything, once it's too much, you know, that's exactly what it is. It's too much. You got to leave something for yourself. You got to leave some type of space for there to be a reciprocity. You got to live some type of space for where you can give and not resent. I feel like if you're giving past the point where, and that's not to say that don't give past the point where it's comfortable, because that's sacrifice, that's love. But you don't want to give to the point of resentment. And I think as an artist, as creative, as a business person, as an athlete, if you're giving too much of yourself, you don't want to give to your own detriment.
Bars.
Yeah.
That's bars. Now that you've spoken of your journey as an artist and the newer things that you plan on bringing to life, what inspired this newer project that you're currently working on?
So the actual genesis of it, I'll say, is directly inspired from Travis Scott doing Days Before Rodeo. And his purpose for dropping Days Before Rodeo was to set up his album Rodeo, which was like his debut like album. And Days Before Rodeo is a really great mixtape, like sonically could be its own album, but it was like a sample size to set up something that was greater to come. And so I've been working on my album for like since 2021. It's called Looking for Parking. The reason I call it Looking for Parking is just like to kind of, it's a little biographical, but like in real time. So I was talking to my manager and I was like, man, I feel like we're just so close to like our success or whatever our version of success or our break is that we can taste it. He's like, yeah, man, we're just like right at our destination. We're just like circling the block looking for parking. And I was like, whoa, that's a bar. So that's exactly what this feels like, especially like being the DMV. There's like nowhere to park. You can be right where you're supposed to be and like spend a whole another 30 minutes just looking for a spot to park close to where you're trying to get so you can walk the rest of the way. And I was like, whoa, that is so metaphorically on point. And I said, that has to be the album name. So me being the perfectionist that I am, I'm using this to get details on my music.
Yeah, for details. And I was going to say, just put the towel on your lap because it's obstructing that.
Got it. And so we started working on Looking for Parking. And me being the perfectionist that I am, I'm like, I want this to be like sonically amazing. And I want it to not feel like anything else that's out, but also feel familiar, not be foreign and scare people away. So me just getting, I'm getting better at producing by the months. So I was like, oh wait, I look up and I've already topped my little demo idea that I made. I feel like I can make a better song. So I have to get to a point where I feel like, all right, this is good enough that I can stop here and go from here and create in this space. So after, like I said, starting and stopping since 2021, I was like, all right, as an artist, I do still need to put something out. And so because of that, I was like, let me just put out, I like how Travis did Days Before Rodeo. It wasn't Rodeo, but it was Days Before Rodeo. It was something to hold the listeners over and give them something while they wait. You know, because if you starve your kids too long on the road trip to grandma's, they're going to get antsy. And then you start getting unruly and stuff like that. So you got to stop at the pit stop, get in the bag of chips, get the McDonald's before, Thanksgiving dinner. How it goes. So I was like, all right, let me make this project, but make it in theme. And this will be practice doing something and making it cohesive and being completely on theme and not veering off. So let me see if I can do it with 4 songs. If I can do it with 4 songs, I can do that 4 times. Do it with 12 songs. I can compound and make an album. So I was like, what are we doing? What happens before you park? Oh yeah, you're driving. And then I was like, okay, cool. That's just like my, my peace mechanisms where I go for these drives and just get my thoughts together. So that can kind of be about the journey up into the point where I'm looking for parking. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll make an EP and call it 4 Drives. And that's literally what inspired it. And the music, the sound was inspired by the playlist that I was listening to. Just sitting in the car, vibing out. Some of them made by me, some of them made by like friends of mine. But they all kind of had like that sonic palette.
Coming out of 2020, 2021, you were working on jamboree sessions at the crib and in the studio. Mm-hmm. You were experimenting with sounds, playing with keys, trying to look for the right skill set to add to this next project. Mm-hmm. How did that experience build the newer palette for this project?
Just exactly what you said, just trying things out and seeing what stuck and seeing what worked. This project, I will say, sonically doesn't sound like anything I've had, one, like my vocal delivery is completely different. I'm introducing a new like vocal delivery. I'm doing like this stacked falsetto. A lot of people say this sounds like Thundercats, reminiscent of that. But and I'm keeping that pretty much consistent throughout the whole project. Normally people used to like my baritone raspy tone that they compare to like Prince and Andre 3000, D'Angelo. So they're looking for like that rough soul, but this is a lot more alternative, kind of spacey, kind of almost psychedelic, but definitely has like a modern alternative touch to it. So it's a nice little niche that I carved out, amalgamation of like different artists and things I was listening to. If I can like just take a little bit of the sauce from, you know, each of these artists and mix it up and make my own sauce. Like mumbo sauce is made out of like what, barbecue ketchup and sriracha or something like that. If you mix that, oh yeah, this is mumbo sauce. This is its own thing. But it's not sriracha, it's not barbecue, it's not ketchup, but it's mumbo. So like you know what I mean? So I'm taking like, all right, cool. I'm going to sing in this falsetto, but I'm going to stack it, do cool harmonies, and process it kind of like this Tame Impala feel. But the drums are kind of going to be like Frank Ocean, and the melodies are kind of going to be like Lucky Day or something like that. And it's going to feel like, okay, cool, that could be from the same artist that made Super Groovy Mixtape, and okay, this part could be from the same guy that did Grown Man, but it's like this, he took it to this other world. It's like an actor, you know, you have Denzel Washington acting as Frank Lucas, but he's acting as the guy in Gladiator 2. It's still Denzel, but like you put it in different situations, different little universes. So it's this iteration of Cheakaity. And the Jamboree sessions, all those help build like what this sound is currently. Just trying and seeing what's part of what sounds I like and how can I make something unique and cohesive.
Let's see.
I feel this. All right.
So talk to me about moonwalking.
Moonwalking. All right. One of my favorite things when I'm watching like artist documentaries on like classic albums, or like the moment where they felt like they were finished, but they just, something in them told them like, it's just good, but it's not perfect. This is good, but it's like almost there, but I feel like if we just added one little thing, then it'll be perfect. I did not know what it was. I knew I wanted 4 songs. I tried to make, I don't know how many different songs. They were cool, but like it just wasn't really coming together. And then it wasn't until the guy that mixed this album, his name is Top. I know he works alongside at one point Brent Faiyaz, and me just in the space I was in, just really just trying to establish myself still, even at this point in my career, still trying to establish myself. I was like, all right, I do still need like a major placement or something like that. What would happen if I just asked everybody I knew worked with someone that was like globally recognized or something like that? So I just sort of shot the shot. I was like, hey, what would it take for me to like get beats to Brent? And he's like, well, yeah, like there's a lot more avenues to go through now, but it's not impossible. And I was like, yeah, well, so what would it be? He said, well, there's this guy he works with that I'm really cool with. If you send me like a pack of like 5 to 10 beats, I could pass on to him. And then he's one of the guys that really works with him. So by just a chain reaction of, okay, degrees of separation, we'll try to like minimize degrees of separation. I'll make the introduction, just make those beats. So that took longer than I wanted to. It took like, it's supposed to be a week, and then it took like a month, but I still sent it, and he sent it off. And I ended up talking to that producer like on Facebook. Great guy. Not Facebook, Instagram. Real humble, good dude. Hopefully I get to meet him in person. But one of the beats, actually the last beat, the same thing. I was like, oh, this pack is done, but it needs one more thing. And that ended up being like, I was like, what doesn't he have and what hasn't he done? I was like, the beats that I made, I was like, these all kind of sound like something he's kind of done before. You might use these, but I always try to give the artist something that they don't have.
Yeah.
And so I made the beat, which would end up being the moonwalking beat. And I was like, whoa, this is different. I was actually inspired by Metro Boomin and Future dropped We Don't Trust You, and then they dropped We Still Don't Trust You. So We Still Don't Trust You was like more dancey and singy on Future's end. And they had like two beats that kind of sound like they could have been on Thriller. And I was like, whoa, that might become a wave, like the 80s dance wave, but with like trap rappers or whatever the current iteration of music is, but over top of those sound palettes. And I was like, oh, what would Brent Faiyaz sound like on something like that? I was like, whoa, that's like a great idea. But I made him the beat and I sent the pack off. But the thing is, he told me, so yeah, Brent's not really a send beat kind of guy. He's more of a cook up kind of guy. So like, I was like, well, I'll send the beats anyway just to show what I could cook up if we did link up, so she can know I can produce. And so I sent that. And I was like, well, he's probably not going to use this beat. But even if he does, who cares? We'll both use the beat, or you'll use it, it'll be bigger than my song. I still produced it, so it was win-win for me. And I was like, I really like that beat. I kind of want to keep it for myself. So I was like, all right, let me do this. Let me just make a dope song out of it. Worst comes to worst, he wants to use the beats, or he wants to get on the remix or whatever. Just make a dope song out of this dope beat that inspired me in a time where I was looking for inspiration for my own thing, but I found it making something for somebody else. And I just got so inspired by the way it sounded, because I was just like in a groove. I was in a bag. And I was like, well, I can make like a great, like, modern day Michael Jackson song. And I was like, but I got to tie it into the driving theme. And I was like, I want to call it, I need something catchy. I need a catchy title. Michael Jackson. What's Michael Jackson? Oh yeah, moonwalking. I was like, cool, I'll make it about moonwalking. Moonwalking where? So the hook, I was like, the hook's got to be simple, like walking through the streets, moonwalking through the streets. But I was like, all right, how can I turn that into driving? So I was like, I put just like little, I didn't want to make it too overtly about it, because you started to force it, it comes corny. So I was like, let me just throw something in there so it fits. So I was like, all right, ooh, I think she want to ride with me. She want to spend her time with me. She want to take a drive with me. And that was just like the little pre-hook. And I was like, all right, great. That ties that whole concept together. It feels good. It's going to be the first song on the project that kind of sets off me venturing out into the world and getting in the car, stepping on the gas and taking the drive. It's like that first burst of energy out the door. And so that was the inspiration for moonwalking. Long-winded, but yeah.
As an artist coming out of the DMV, how do you fight imposter syndrome?
Please.
The DMV.
Yes.
Okay, tell me more.
You can either leave and not come back, or you can leave for a long time, gain perspective elsewhere, and then come back with gained perspective and imply what you've learned. But I say this in love, this place isn't very conducive for anything other than imposter syndrome, because unless, you want to start a go-go band, and, the time for that is kind of like sailed, or if you want to be a politician. But it's like, it's this things here that it's made for and conducive for. But being like a music artist, uphill battle for sure. Uphill battle, just environment, overall environment. It's just, it's hard to grow a pineapple in Wisconsin without the right soil. If you try really hard, you can grow a version of a pineapple. You can grow like a small one, but is it going to be the best pineapple you can possibly have? And is someone going to want to buy it afterwards? Probably not. Get this bionic, fruit that's a version of a pineapple that kind of looks like a pineapple, but it's not quite a pineapple. But to get that good pineapple, you want to go to, you know, Jamaica, you want to go to Mexico, you want to go to places where, oh, this is where this thrives, because everything is here, the right soil, the right climate, it rains just enough. Everything here is conducive for this to be the best possible fruit that you can have. So yeah, I mean, anybody that, you know, if you're a bird trying to swim in the Atlantic Ocean, try the sky, my nigga. You know what I mean? Like, you do a whole lot better.
All right. And looking back at your roots, you used to use cooking as a coping mechanism to get away between joy and development.
Right.
Would you say that same process is how you create music and expression now?
Yes, because when I cook when cooking has become like a luxury now, just out of time and necessity, like just being in survival mode, trying to better myself. Like I'm, you know, getting into my 30s, like getting into the thick of it, and it's like, all right, it's becoming more and more and more about like every day. It's becoming more and more about like personal development and how does this add to the plot? How does this get me closer back to the beginning of the conversation with my desired quality of life? Like, does this add to that, or does this distract? Not necessarily subtract, but I'll say distract from me trying to get to there. And sometimes it's just detrimental. Will this derail me? Every day that becomes more and more crucial of a conversation. So, my mind is in that mode. But when I can, for leisure, cook and enjoy a meal, it's great, it's therapeutic. So I'll say with music, when I'm not doing it out of survival, when I'm not making a beat pack because I need money to sell, and I'm just making it because I enjoy. I remember when I was 16 and I'm making this beat because I just heard the new Lil Wayne that came out. I just heard the new Kanye that come out. I just heard, you know, the new MGMT, and it opened up like a portal in my brain and say, oh, wow, like, I didn't know you could do that with sound. Let me go and just like, what sound? Let me go download some new drums. Let me go like pick up my guitar again and like try to learn some chords, or just, you know, how can I explore, like a little kid playing a box of Legos. Like, you get that feeling. So it's a luxury these days when I can get that feeling, just like cooking and like doing something just for pure enjoyment rather than like capital, or just being so focused on adding to the plot. Like sometimes it's like, all right, the plot's on pause. It's just like right now, this is just for me. So definitely.
How do you pick and choose the use of your time?
I actually don't know if I've got that down to a science yet. I think it's case by case right now, but I would love to develop some sort of system that I intentionally implement. I probably have like a lot better time management, and I can see that being really helpful for me. But right now, it's like it's case by case. I don't always get it right either, so some things end up being a waste of time. But I will say I'm just being more mindful about the time I spend does help, but I would like to get like an actual like foolproof plan that I can give a definite answer to that.
As an artist coming on the latter end of the streaming wars between companies like Spotify and a lot of stories that are coming out in terms of artists not making enough money off streaming, what kind of future do you see for yourself in this music industry that feels like it may be on shaky ground?
A lot of it, actually. Just because I feel like I can imagine this feels like being a person like in the CD physical era, like when streaming first came out, just the uncertainty. And the uncertainty was just like, are you at the beginning of something that's a changing of the guards? I feel like we're in a similar situation. And it feels interesting to have gained momentum during this time. I was like, wow, this is like the craziest timing ever. But, you know, you can look at it negatively, or you can look at it like in a Soldier Boy way. Like, all right, cool. We'll just what is the new way? If TikTok's on its way up, what is going to be the next thing that people consume on? And like, because music's not going to go anywhere, but it's going to be the way you consume it. It's always just going to evolve. So you just kind of got to challenge yourself to get ahead of the curve of, okay, well, how is this going to be consumed in the next 5 to 10 years, 15, 20 years? Well, after I stop making music, I still want my music to still be consumed. At least stop making it as presently stated. How is this going to be consumed? And what are other ways of making money other than just, all right, cool, straight up listening to it? My likeness, my image, my live performance, my branding, my endorsement of something that already exists. It could be like a company that makes instruments or keyboard sounds or something like that. They might want me to listen and put my stamp of approval on something, and that'll cost. And that'll be, so it's just all about just thinking outside the box. If you think completely in the box, when the box is crumbling and going away, like once that's gone, you're not gonna have anything. So you, as an artist, a lot of it's on, I would say, questionable ground, but it's right now it's more of an exploratory thing for me. It's like, all right, cool. So where is it now? Where is it going? How do I get on the train to where it's going? Even better so, can I control the, what if I start to, let me think of ways to create where it's going so I can steer the ship. So more so just in that train of thought.
How would you say you treat yourself in comparison to your everyday show?
I probably treat myself a lot like my everyday shoe. Currently, like I said, I buy them secondhand. Right now, I mean, of course, I'd love to get to the point where I like buy brand new shoes, but right now it's like, all right, I get something that I can afford that's good enough, that's a version of what I really want, but right now is what I can manage, and it's good enough to get by, and it's comfortable. But I'll go and clean them and do the best and max out my secondhand kind of busted shoes, but present them the best way and put them with the best fit and do the best I can with it, even though it's not quite where I wanted to be. It's a lot like how I treat my life, like working towards getting to being a brand new $3,000 shoe, you know, that I can wear once and put down and just buy another $3,000 shoe. But right now I'm with a moderately stylish shoe. If I clean up and if I dress it up right, you know, I can manage with this. As far as my life, right now I'm just trying to chase the bag. I'm trying to get, like, it's the main thing. It's really just like money to afford the type of lifestyle that I want, which would be when I want to cook a meal, I can cook a meal because I'm not worried about the time or the money of just like where I'm going to lay my head, where the money for the groceries come over, if the light's going to be on, if the hot water is going to be on, if this is, you know, I'm going to have to rest. I don't have to look over, sleep with one eye open, just worrying about what the next thing, the next bit of provision is going to come from. So it's kind of low maintenance, and it's, I'll say, low maintenance luxuries. Yeah. That's kind of where I am right now. So like my vacations right now look like car rides at night, spending a little bit extra to go get the pizza I want or the chicken sandwich I want. It's not a fortune at Ruth Chris, but like, you know, I want to taste something good, so I know a nice little hole in the wall spot that has good Jamaican food can't go there every day, but I'm gonna make time to go there when I know I've done good. I'm gonna celebrate myself, but then it's back to the grind. So, and then with these, I don't always put these when I wear them. Sometimes I like just take them off and just leave them anywhere. And maybe if they were the $3,000 shoe, I'd have that extra bit of care. But like, I guess I could do that with myself too. Sometimes you shouldn't. Like, you should store and clean regularly and do all that other stuff. But sometimes you're just so caught up in, all right, the next survival move that you neglect your everyday shoes. Yeah.
Coming from as far as you've come, what would you say is the thing you're most proud of on your journey?
Still being on it, just not giving up. It's really easy to give up, and it's really tempting to give up, even though you've come so far. It's easy to say, but yeah, I haven't got what I wanted yet, so it's not going to come. Let me do something else that I know will work. I won't be as happy, but like, I won't be uncomfortable either. I'm proud of myself for still sticking with it, despite whatever embarrassment may come from like not being where I said I was going to be like years ago, or where I thought I would be. Still being here and looking back and seeing growth and seeing where I did get better and see how I am further from where I was when I started. So I know it does work, but not letting the fear of when is a major milestone gonna happen allow me from just like forfeiting the milestone altogether by not continuing. So yeah, this is a day in my shoes for a drive, the third studio project by Cheikaity, coming August 23rd, 2024.